Before this story truly begins, do me a small favor that means a lot. If stories that touch the heart, reveal hidden heroes, and remind us what humanity really looks like matter to you, tap like, subscribe, and stay with us till the very end, because what this Navy SEAL Admiral saw on her hidden cameras changed not only her family's future, but an entire man's destiny. They called her Admiral Rachel Moore, Unbreakable. For 3 decades she had commanded war zones, led rescue operations through fire and water, and stood tall while the ocean swallowed ships and names. But nothing had prepared her for standing beside 3 identical hospital cribs, watching 3 tiny bodies lie motionless beneath humming machines. Her triplets, born 3 months early after a complicated deployment injury she never spoke about, were paralyzed from the neck down. Doctors used careful words: permanent condition, low probability, prepare for limitations. Rachel, who had once stared down enemy fire without blinking, now found herself unable to meet the eyes of her own children without her throat closing. She built the most advanced home medical unit money could buy. Private nurses, remote monitoring, motion detecting cameras in every room. Not because she didn't trust the staff, but because control was the only language left to her. The janitor arrived quietly. His name was Daniel Brooks. Late 30s, widowed, 1 daughter in middle school. He worked nights and early mornings, sweeping what the successful walked past without noticing. He cleaned offices before executives arrived, wiped fingerprints off glass before meetings, and mopped hospital wings after visiting hours ended. No one asked him about the scar that ran from his temple to his jaw. No one asked why he sometimes paused beside elevator mirrors as if reminding himself who he used to be. They only saw the uniform, the cart, and the man who kept his eyes respectfully down. When Admiral Moore's home maintenance contract changed hands, Daniel was reassigned to her estate twice a week. The kind of property that didn't feel like a home: high ceilings, echoing halls, and a silence that pressed against your chest. On his first day, he was given strict instructions. Clean common areas only. No entering the medical wing. No interaction with the children. Cameras were always running. Rachel gave those orders herself, standing tall in her tailored uniform, eyes sharp, grief hidden behind steel. Daniel simply nodded. Yes, ma'am. Weeks passed like that. Quiet in the mornings, nurses murmuring, machines breathing for 3 tiny bodies. And Daniel, cleaning in silence. But every time he passed the glass wall that separated the main hall from the medical wing, his eyes drifted inside. Not out of curiosity, out of recognition. One morning, a nurse was late. The door to the medical unit was ajar. A soft, broken sound drifted into the hallway. Not a cry, not quite a whimper. Something fragile and tired. Daniel froze. Rules screamed in his head. Cameras, orders, his job. But something deeper moved faster than all of it. The memory of holding his own daughter after her fevered seizures when she was 3. The helplessness, the fear, the promise he had made that night never to ignore suffering because of permission. He stepped inside. He didn't touch the machines. Didn't adjust the tubes. He just pulled up a chair and spoke softly. To who? At first, even he didn't know. Then he saw it, one tiny finger twitch. Barely a movement, but real. The middle child, Ava. Her eyes were open, staring at the ceiling. I know what it's like, he whispered. When your body won't listen yet. When the world expects you to stay quiet. He told her about the mop bucket. About his daughter who hated broccoli. About the nights when fear felt louder than hope. His voice was low, steady, real. And Ava's heart rate slowed. None of them knew it yet, but a camera noticed. That night, alone in her office, Admiral Moore reviewed the footage like she always did. Usually it was uneventful. Nurses adjusting blankets. Machines blinking. Stillness. But this time she saw him. The janitor. Sitting beside her child. Speaking. And then, her daughter's finger moved. Rachel surged to her feet so hard her chair toppled over. Her instinct screamed violation. Her protocols screamed breach. But another feeling, one she hadn't allowed herself in months, crept in: hope. The next morning she confronted him. You entered the restricted medical wing, she said coldly. He didn't deny it. Yes, ma'am. Why? Daniel swallowed. Because she was trying to cry. Silence filled the room. Security expected him to beg. To apologize. To plead for his job. Instead, he stood still. A broken man's dignity holding him upright. Rachel could have fired him on the spot. Instead, she ordered an investigation. She learned everything about the car accident 5 years earlier that killed Daniel's wife and left him with a traumatic brain injury. About the misdiagnosis that labeled him slow for months until a specialist proved otherwise. About the denied settlements, the foreclosure. About the daughter he walked to school every morning no matter how late his shift ended. About the military commendations he never talked about, from before he had become a widower, before his hands traded rifles for mops. And then she reviewed every tape. What she saw over the next several weeks shattered her. Daniel never knew the cameras focused on him now. He spoke to each girl differently. To Ava about courage. To Lily about dreams. To Nora about stubborn strength. He sang quietly when machines beeped anxiously. He told bedtime stories even though the lights stayed on. He moved their blankets with the care of a father who had once almost lost everything. And the girls responded. Micro movements at first. A toe twitch. A blink that lingered. Heart rhythms steadier during his visits. Doctors were baffled. Nurses whispered. Rachel watched all of it in silence. The night she finally entered the medical wing while he was there, Daniel nearly collapsed. I'm sorry, Admiral. She raised a hand. My daughters moved today because of you. He had no answer for that. Neither did she. From that night forward, the rules changed. Daniel was allowed inside. What no one knew was that Rachel had begun sleeping in her office, watching feeds through the night, afraid to miss even the smallest miracle. She saw Daniel stay after his shift ended if the girls were restless. She saw him kneel beside the cribs and pray, not loudly, not for show, just words whispered into the space between fear and faith. Months passed. Progress was slow, painful, but real. Therapy began. Specialists flew in from across the country. Rachel threw resources at the walls that once told her, never. Daniel stayed the same, still in uniform, still on his cart, still pretending he didn't matter more than anyone else in the room. Until the day Lily squeezed his finger. Hard. He dropped to his knees. Machines wailed in confusion. Nurses rushed in. Rachel ran barefoot down the corridor. The impossible had happened. By the end of the year, the girls could move their arms. Then their shoulders. Therapy became brutal. Tears filled the halls. Rachel, who had commanded warships, learned how to hold trembling hands through muscle spasms and whispered apologies. And Daniel was always there after his shift, stretching tiny limbs with more patience than any machine ever could. The hospital board called it extraordinary recovery. Rachel called it love. One evening, she sat beside him as the girls slept. Why them? She asked quietly. He didn't pretend to misunderstand. Because pain recognizes pain, he said. And hope recognizes hope. Her voice broke for the first time in front of anyone since their birth. I set up the cameras to protect them, she whispered. But all they needed was someone who saw them. Years later, when the triplets took their first independent steps across a crowded auditorium stage, walking shakily toward microphones set too high for them, Daniel stood in the back of the room in his janitor's uniform, clapping until his hands ached. Rachel found him after the ceremony and placed a small velvet box in his palm. Inside was a Navy civilian commendation and adoption papers he had never dared to ask for. You were their father long before the paperwork, she said. Daniel wept like a man who had finally been allowed to come home. Today, the stolen cameras are gone. The medical wing is a playroom filled with noise. And 3 little girls run through hallways once ruled by silence, shouting for the man who used to clean the floors beneath their cribs. So if you've ever felt unseen, unwanted, or unworthy of being anyone's miracle, remember this story. Sometimes heroes don't wear medals. Sometimes they wear worn-out gloves and carry a mop. And sometimes the camera meant to protect us merely reveals the love that was there all along. If this story moved you even a little, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to believe that quiet kindness can change the world. Because it truly can.